it's a low point for this season, but it's also a low point for the history of this great football club. Newcastle Jets 6, Senecas Mariners nil. In some ways, nothing to say, but there's also a lot to talk about from this result. It's symbolic, I think, of maybe what this club is going through at the moment, the period of transition. It goes without saying that this result is completely unacceptable and one of the worst results in our club's history. And this is coming, less than 12 months after winning the treble, winning 3 trophies in one season, last season. One of the best seasons we've ever seen in Australian football. And less than 12 months later, we are losing 6-0 to our rivals who, they themselves, this time last year, there was a lot of uncertainty around Newcastle Jets and even their existence. We can talk about where the blame is to lay. I don't even know. We'd love to hear from you guys as well about your thoughts on this performance, this result, and where Senecas Mariners go from here, man. Because this season is coming to a terrible, terrible end. We're hoping to see some positive results, some wins to finish off the campaign. And, this F3 derby, with 3 rounds left, we know this season was slipping away from us. And this derby game was a big highlight for us for the end of this season as a chance to Mariners, playing for pride, to grab a win against our rivals, to finish above them on the ladder, and to, end their slim final hopes as well. But, everything went wrong. Everything went wrong tonight. So let's talk about it, because we do have to talk about it, man. We are here. We are discussing these games as we do every single week, and there is a lot to break down. First of all, we should look at the lineup. First of all, here for Mariners, again, we've been playing this consistent lineup for the last few weeks. The one change, though, coming in attack, Miguel De Pizio in for Vitor Feijão. Not too surprising. Miguel De Pizio, he provides something different. Fantastic dribbler of the ball. Tried to get into this game, and obviously, we were completely off it, from the get-go, conceding that first goal. And there were a couple moments getting forward, especially on that left-hand side. Moragas working hard against his former side. Diahara's trying to create things in the final third, but not too much going. And once Newcastle Jets scored the goals, they just kept flowing. And obviously the red card really affected things. Concerning to see Mikhail Blocker come off with that injury. Hopefully it's not too bad for the Brazilian. Storm Roux coming on and within minutes getting sent off. Looking at the replays in the stadium, it wasn't clear sort of what the contact was. You couldn't really tell from the camera angle, but it did appear on, looking at the replays more and more that, Storm Roux did sort of lash out. Maybe there was an elbow thrown into the chest of the opposition player. And obviously, we know, especially in this day and age with VAR and everything, obviously VAR wasn't required, but if you lash out in any way, you run the risk of receiving a red card, and that's what happens with Storm Roux. And look, from there, we do see it a lot in football where, even if a team gets reduced to just 10 players, they can sometimes, they defend even more resolutely, and the opposition team can have a tricky time of scoring. But that is absolutely not what happened from here on out. The goals just kept flowing for Newcastle Jets as we look at the goals here. Obviously, they had the 2 goals in that first half, and then the terrible start from the second half. I thought maybe, we saw a substitution at halftime as well. Faisal coming on, which was great to see. Faisal get some more minutes. And we thought, okay, maybe if we can snatch a goal back early on in the second half, try and turn this game around, utilise the counter-attack, obviously just with 10 players. Wilmering and Taylor scoring in quick succession. And we're down 4-0 and down a player after 50 minutes. And from there, it was just a training drill for Newcastle Jets. It honestly was. Eli Adams with a couple of goals as well, 6-0. And it was disheartening, and the away bay, the fans were just trickling out as that second half went on. And I don't blame them, honestly. I don't blame them considering this performance, this results. You do not want to be in McDonald Jones Stadium if you're a Mariners fan, seeing what's happening here. And look at these stats, man. It's honestly disgusting. It really is not pretty to see. 22 shots for the Jets, 8 of those on target, 71% possession. Mariners 4 shots, 0 on target. We have seen this many times this season. Failure to get a shot on target. which is just unacceptable. Just 29% possession, 69% pass accuracy. This is something we talked about last week against Melbourne City. The pass accuracy is way too low. It's unacceptably low, and it's happened again. This is not a one-off thing. So the standards have clearly dropped. They've clearly have dropped. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, we love this team. We love these players. We love Mark Jackson. You know, he led us to 3 trophies last season. And no matter what happens, we should have positive, you know, memories associated with Mark Jackson because of what last season was for the Mariners. But the way we have dropped off is astonishing. It's unacceptable. And Mariners fans, we have to stand up, man. We have to call it out. This can't happen. Yeah, we won 3 trophies last year, but it doesn't mean we can go to our rivals, Newcastle Jets, and perform like this. I don't even care about the red card. It's not even an excuse. It's not an excuse. We're an absolute shadow of the team we were last season. And, you know, we've had some really shocking results this year, you know, conceding 4 at home to Auckland and Adelaide, and that 3-0 loss to Melbourne Victory a few weeks ago where we were just absolutely not in the game at all. And this probably was the worst of the season, you know, against the team who we are right next to each other on the ladder as well. It's not like Newcastle Jets, you know, cruising this season. They've had a really up and down season, a lot of poor results for Newcastle. And they just cruise past us 6-0, man. It's infuriating, it's upsetting, it's disheartening, the feeling being inside that stadium as the goals were flowing in, and just a feeling of helplessness. I mean, it's hard to say where we go from here. Looking at the ladder now, Newcastle Jets 4 points clear. Feels like they're going to finish above us for the first time in a long time. And, you know, there's a chance we could slip even lower to 11th, which is just unimaginable heading into this season. Look, we knew it was going to be tough, but, you know, with Mark Jackson still in charge, with the likes of Brian Kautak still around, Trent Sainsbury joining the club, still, you know, some players from last season, the likes of Ali Kuwal, Mikael Docker, Harry Steele. You know, I thought we had a competitive team, a team capable of, you know, at least contesting for finals. We know it's going to be difficult. We know that we don't have the financial resources of some of the bigger clubs in this competition. But it's no excuse for what we've seen this season. It's no excuse for what we've seen in Newcastle last night. And there's a big test for this club now in this off-season. You know, what's happening with the ownership situation? What's happening behind the scenes? The club needs clear communication with the fans. It needs clear communication with the fans. That's something that I really appreciate when Rich Peel, you know, was looking after things with the club. You know, we got those emails to the members. His clear communication was great. I liked that transparency. At the moment, it just feels like we've just had a radio silence from the club. We don't know what's going on. And we don't know where this club is heading. And if things don't change, things don't improve at all, this is going to keep coming. And the scary thing is, the reason why I think Mariners fans are so concerned is because this happened a decade ago. 2013, we win the A-League Championship. We had a fantastic, you know, first 7-8 years in the A-League men's competition. Regularly competing in finals, qualifying for grand finals. Winning that championship 2013. And then obviously we know after that for the next 5-6 years, just years of pain and agony, finishing at the bottom of the ladder, wooden spoon after wooden spoon. We cannot let that happen again. And us as fans have to stand up and hold the club accountable, hold the team accountable. You know, we have to make some noise. It's not acceptable. 2 home games coming up. We have to expect maximum effort. This team needs to respond after this result, man. Maximum effort. We have to go in to win both of those games and perform well. MacArthur, Brisbane at home. Winnable games. Look, MacArthur contesting for finals. Brisbane, rock bottom of the ladder. Have to win that game. Anything other than a win is completely unacceptable. We need to see a response. So look, I now look at Mark Jackson again. Mark Jackson, he did such a good job with his team last season, winning the treble. I would really call upon Mark Jackson to make some big calls with the team selection. I think there's maybe some players in this squad who just need a rest, need to be dropped out for maybe some of the younger options, especially this time of the season when we're playing for pride, but also playing for the future. And we do know we've got some fantastic young talent coming through. We're looking at the likes of Lucas Shakluna, Diesel Harrington, and maybe haven't got many minutes after DeLima, Bailey Brantman, these guys who we know have enormous potential. Throw them in there. Why not? Why not? So yeah, this is a tricky time. This is a hard time this season. I kept trying to be optimistic that maybe we could finish on a high. This is rough right now. This is rough, and this is a low point for this season, and as I mentioned, low point for the history of this club. An unacceptable result. Hopefully we'll see a response next week, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Join the conversation. My name's Lockie. This is Coast with Football. Subscribe for more Mariners talk. We are staying strong all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next one.